Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Super Fun Sunday. All right, so if you're a patron, you've already seen part one of this video, but I'm not going to list them as part one and part two. But I wanted to take a look at Arthur Adams' construction. So it's an Arthur Adams focused video today for Super Fun Sunday, but we're gonna only just glance at finished pieces. And Arthur is generous enough as an artist and transparent enough as an artist that he shows tons and tons of works in progress of his beautiful, beautiful pieces that he does. So if you don't follow him on Instagram, one, you should absolutely do it. He's got over 3,000 posts there. And yeah, I really wanted to take a look at Arthur's work and just enjoy sort of the madness that is Arthur Adams and just how incredible he is as an artist, a comic book artist, a cartoonist, whatever you want to call it, illustrator at times. It's really, really fantastic stuff. And as I said to my patrons, and you should definitely check out my Patreon if you have not head over there yet. I have over 600 videos. It's educational content. I don't do as much educational content on YouTube in general, but yeah, Patreon, you can go over there, you can get reviews, you can get lessons, you can have access to the full video library, which again is I think close to 750 posts and probably over 600 videos. There's a ton of content. So if you enjoy my YouTube channel, you will be like a pig in slop on my Patreon. So yeah, I haven't really promoted it much. I was noticing the last couple of months. No reason, just it didn't occur to me. I'm not always in promotion mode. I should be more. So anyway, but yeah, so let's go. Let's look at this stuff. We'll talk about how Arthur draws and constructs figures and does these just incredible knockout pieces again and again and again. He has such a huge body of work that's at such an incredibly high level of quality. It's really absolutely tremendous what he does. So he actually changed Hulk's face quite a bit. So what I had talked about on the Patreon video for this, and we can lighten this just a little bit, is yeah, art works in passes, meaning that he does thumbnails, he does blue lines. He'll really refine the blue line quite a bit. He goes in with pencil. He pencils pretty tight, not always as tight as you would think. This one, it does actually look like that he went in pretty tight on, but we've already seen some examples in the Patreon video of stuff where he leaves it a little open, and he many times will render things quite a bit more in the inks. But Art is another guy too that is actually got a really great knack for one, laying out pieces with a ton of characters. But he does a lot of front view shots, but it makes them quite interesting based on turning some characters. You know, you've got like the little I'm blanking out on this character's name. Night. What the fuck is this name? Wow, it's funny. I literally can't think of what a Nightcrawler. Yeah, I was gonna call him Night. I knew it wasn't Nightwing. Um, but yeah, so it's interesting because I try to dissuade people that are learning from doing too many front views because one, it actually is a very challenging pose to do. Two, it can look flat, and three, I mean, people don't generally stand with their legs planted like it's just too convenient that everything is straight up and down. It's just not the way that things go. So it's deceiving when you see someone like Arthur Adams where you go, well, Rich, he's got a lot of front views here, but he has a lot that aren't, and a lot of the stuff is actually in perspective. So that's the thing is, you know, you've got stuff really at three-dimensional angles. Sorry, that's off. But you know what I mean. There's things coming forward, things going back away from us, and so you know, he's actually doing a lot more with it than it seems. But the faces are facing forward, so. Okay. Again, finished pieces we're not going to look at. We're only looking at pencils, blue lines, underdrawings, and all that stuff. And again, here's another example of Mojo is facing us pretty straight on, but yet, you know, these pipes up above are you know, at an angle. They're even at more of an extreme angle, but you know, you want to you know, be aware of that, because the problem is that more beginner artists, they won't know how to do this. They may try it, but you know, his Groot is awesome. This is actually great. He created a very definite plank of wood here, and this is behind that. You see, watch when I take that out, and he even darkened the line a little bit to separate the two. It's pretty nicely done. But yeah, that's actually a big chunk of wood. Okay. Again, we're not going to look at these. This was something I pointed out, though, is this is a series of pieces that he did of Dark Phoenix, and he went in with a circle template and circled all the Kirby crackle, and then at some point he goes in with black and fills in every one of these, and it's just absolutely insane. And there's so many, and he did it on multiple pieces. There was like 2 or 3 of these Dark Phoenix pieces. And again, we're not looking at the finished pieces, so if you're interested in really poring over the finished art, you know, look, just head over to Instagram and you can have a field day going through this stuff for probably weeks. There's so many pieces. So I wasn't really too picky about what I opened. It was more about just seeing the pencils and seeing the blue lines. This is nice. These are great little drawings. His body of work is absolutely insane. The Groot face is great. This is really good too. It's a little hard to see. He snaps these photos just as he's working. It's funny because I have a friend that gets a lot of commissions from him. Here he is filling this in. So he does it with a Micron brush pen. Interesting. But see, this is crazy too. So circle template is what he does first. Then he goes in with a pen and he outlines it. So he outlines it. The reason he's doing that is so that it's easier to fill in the black. Then he goes back in with his brush pen and will fill it in the rest of the way. So he makes 3 passes on his Kirby crackle, if you can believe that. I think that's crazy. But, you know, that's how art wants to do it. A little bit more of this. Oh man, pinholes through the piece. What the fuck? Why would he pin it in the art? Damn, dude, he's a savage. He pins his pieces down, but I'm really shocked that he will pin it. That's just eraser dust, and that might be eraser dust. This looks like a pinhole, and that looks like a pinhole. Yikes. In the Patreon video, we actually saw the pencils of this, or pencils and inks. It was beautiful, beautiful drawing. These are commissions that he does. These are cool. Man, his anatomy is so cool. The characterization on these is great. Oh man, really good. It's funny, this guy, he looks like a little dwarf. Man, these are great. He's always loved drawing dinosaurs and apes, and he kind of combined them. This almost looks like Hellboy. The body, it's funny. Damn. Arthur Adams could do a great Hellboy story. Boy, I couldn't even imagine. If he did like an 8-pager, it would be fantastic. Mignola should get his ass doing it. This is really good. But again, we're not looking at finished pieces. And if worst case scenario is, we'll go in and I'll grab more. This is the money for today. Yeah, it's really cool. It was interesting. I was looking at how he does this kind of stuff. How things wrap and go back into space, like the ribbon quality of it, meaning that it's like you're seeing a certain side plane, and then as it turns, how he handles the turned form. With like it might have been Magdalena, and she had like these sort of drapery that was like flying behind her, and it was pretty interesting. Again, you can always check this stuff out at your leisure. Boy, he posted a lot of whips of this piece. It's funny. We've seen this a lot. This is one of the ones, though, where he went in with the circle template and did all the Kirby crackle. You can't see it because it's a little bit of a tighter thing. But now, for me personally, I like actually drawing with blue pencil. I don't like working over blue pencil. So if I'm just sketching for fun, I think it's really, really fun. Like, I'll sketch with blue pencil, but I don't like going over it and trying to, like, refine the drawing. So it's weird. Like, I just don't use it. And this looks like a photocopy or something. I'm not sure what he did. It's kind of weird. I don't really know what that's all about. This was great. The shot, the pose that he has long shot in is really, really incredible, because again, you've got his legs really go back into like the bottom part of his legs, but they're coming out a lot too. They're actually in front of his body, so that's pretty incredible. And then he's got the nice thighs, like that. You almost see no midsection, and then these are going back into space. This is in front of that, is underneath that, and in front of the hand, in front of the hand. That's really, really cool. This was interesting too. He almost kind of suggested Ghost Rider's face in black. I think he had drawn the teeth, but he went in and did quite a bit on that. These guys are cool. Man, look, he's got like a bionic leg. It's crazy. Arthur Adams having fun. Whoa. It's crab monkey, dinosaur, dragon, biomechanical chainsaw wielding thing. I don't remember what these were for. This is nice. These planks on the top. But, you can create little exercises for yourself where you do stuff like that, Have some cylinders that you draw, and then see if you can put stuff on it. Can you do something like that? Can you have them? I mean, look at his go, where you're seeing a front plane there, a front plane there. So they're actually, you're seeing almost, well, you are not just kind of, you're seeing two sides of it. They're split like this. It's nice. And this, you would actually see the back, of these. So play with 3D form. It's very, very important. I was saying in the Patreon video that to me, drawing is just being able to construct things in a convincing way. That's when you're really drawing, is when you can sit down, and not necessarily that you've got your style all worked out, or how to do all the detail and rendering and how you're going to light it. But if you can create solid figures and move them around in space and work with objects and stuff like that, you're drawing. This other stuff you can start to kind of put on those ideas, but until you can do solid construction, you're gonna really have a lot of trouble and then failed drawings because of it. So always construct. And then you can skip steps later. That's the great thing, is you won't have to do, it won't be so methodical. Again, here's another one of those great poses with Art's so good at these. The crouch. But he really tucks those legs back in there. The cylinders are just really going back in to space. It's good stuff, man. It's funny because I'm so used now to seeing this piece because we saw it a couple times in the Patreon video. But I mean, look at all these characters. He does this again and again and again. There's some beautiful Star Wars pieces that he did. Wow, this looks... It almost looks older, but I know it's not. But it's funny. It's very cool. Look at that. Man, he is so awesome. I love that he shows all this. It really, really just makes you appreciate what he does. It's crazy. Commission. Or whatever you want to call it, but he would do those. This is cool. Oh, we saw the other half of this in the other video. Or somewhere where he's doing like the lineup of sizes. Wow, that's crazy. Man, his Hulk is great. Oh yeah, look at that. God damn. So let's see something here. Yep, there's that hole, and then the other hole was, yep, there. That's crazy. There's another one. And this looks like one too. Yikes. I don't understand. I wonder. I don't know if he's shown photos of what angle he works at, how steep his table is. I don't know. Well, see, you can see the push pins there, but that's just supporting the bottom. But what I mean is, if we saw his desk from a side view, does he work at like this angle? Does he work like this, or is he working like this? Because if he's working with it this straight up and down, and he sits here drawing, you know what I mean? I work about this angle. And honestly, when I used to ink, I would ink it about that angle. And sometimes at Wildstorm, my desk would even be flatter. But right now, I'm at about this angle with my Cintiq, what I'm on right now. But yeah, I've never, ever worked like this. It just... I don't like not having... I like to have my arm on the table to some extent. Although when I'm on the Cintiq right now, I'm not. But... yeah, I kind of prefer that, where I'm sort of resting. And a lot of times I actually lean into the drawing like this. It's a recreation of me. But yeah, I tend to hunch. And that's why I've actually had a lot of difficult shooting real-time videos of me working, is because I'm literally right over the art. Room. Monkeys and crustaceans. That's a nice motorcycle tire. Yeah, he's crazy. It's funny because J. Scott Campbell totally got the crazy gene from art. You know, obviously his early work was very influenced by Arthur Adams. But Jeff was like this, where it was like he couldn't just kind of do a little bit. He always has to have it, like everything is drawn exactly how he wants it. There's a level of control that they hold over the art. You know, where it's like it's more literal than like Silvestri would, you know, have stuff fade, you know, where he doesn't necessarily have to draw everything, you know. It's like the foot hits the ground and it kind of looks like this. But Campbell and Arthur Adams want to make sure that you know exactly where everything is, you know, planted. So it's an interesting thing, but I like it as a learning tool because it is so literal that you know, it's a style because it's cartoony, but it's a style that's pretty, like, he recreates it consistently. I love these crouch poses that he does. I think they're so freaking cool. This one's neat because we're actually seeing the top of his thighs. He's actually leaning into it, where the leg is underneath. He hasn't done that one as much. And the foot would be kind of under here. You see that? It could be going back. He could have the heel up, you know. But anyway, something like that. And here, and this is a good example of him having her feet almost on a flat plane, but because of the juxtaposition of her hips, it doesn't feel like it's not this, because this doesn't always look right when you have someone standing straight and their legs come down. It's harder to make it look natural. So in a weird way, this is kind of in front of this. It's subtle, but in a way, she's still a sort of standing on a plane a little bit like that. It could be a little flatter, but yeah. So that's how he pulls that off. Subtle. And there's this monster piece. God damn, this is just so mesmerizing. Not that other parts aren't, because it all is really, really phenomenal. I mean, look at this. It's perfect. This guy you practically ignore, and he's like a work of art in himself. This is amazing. I mean, every little bit and piece of this piece is just on point. The Mole Men. Lil Rogue. You got Storm looking all cute. He does a great baby Storm, I have to say. I like that a lot. Yep. Whoever owns this, I would assume he probably sold it, is really got a beautiful, beautiful piece. In fact, I need to ask my friend if he owns this. I'd be curious. He's got some good ones. My friend the Vacuum, they call him. Art pieces get in, but they can't get out. It's cool. Oh gosh, orangutan. God, this is killing me with the push pins. I'm like, I get like even just like the slightest blemish on a page, and I'm like ready to like throw it out and start over. But I think ultimately there's so much detail in the pieces that you don't really notice where the push pins are. I mean, this one's like in a little black area, so it won't be super noticeable, but that is funny. You can really see like this doesn't have as much character as it ultimately ended up having. I mean, there's just a lot more attitude and sort of just badassery to the finished piece. And again, I think that the Hulk face changed. It looks to me like his mouth is open here. We'll try to... I'll see if it pops up again, but I'm kind of like, what is his face doing? He kind of... I feel like I'm seeing his tongue here, and like maybe he's like kind of got his mouth open. Maybe he thought it looked stupid, so he bailed it. And this piece is the one where, again, he took circle templates later and did every single Kirby Crackle with the templates. Oh, yeah, see, he changed Hulk's face. You see? And it looks better. I actually do like that better. The other one wasn't bad. I mean, either I think would have been fine, but... This is just absolutely crazy. Excuse me. It's so good, it's making me cough. So I guess in 90 minutes, California is going to be locked down for 3 weeks. They're shutting everything. I didn't know that, and a neighbor told me, and I was like, what? This is an interesting piece, because he showed so many whips of it, and I'm going to point something out that I think like was a miss, and I don't know why, considering how much time he spent on this. And again, you can see all of these Kirby Crackle are ellipsed. The hands are not good. Sorry, Art. Those are not good hands. You can draw hands much better. I don't know why he never caught that. It's really weird because he doesn't seem to have trouble drawing hands in really any of the other pieces. I'm not saying like I've had people where I've done videos on art before and they go, the ankle on that one drawing was weird, it wasn't good. I don't worry about that as much. I mean, I get sometimes we'll stretch anatomy and do things that are beyond things, but these are just kind of stiff and slightly weird proportioned hands for a female character. So I don't know how that slipped past him. Okay, we're opening more. Just to be clear, or I can do like this. I'm gonna go down. Oh my god, I'm so excited. This is fun. I've wanted to do this for a while. It was interesting because I had sent a bunch of. I have an iPad Air that I study on at night, and this will be more recent stuff. Yeah, I sent myself files, and it took almost like 20 hours for the transfer to make it over, and so I wasn't able to look at Art Adams the night that I wanted to study it, and so I ended up studying Mark Silvestri, Uncanny X-Men, the early stuff. It was very, very fun. I mean, I actually had a nice little 30-minute sort of dive into that, but yeah, I had wanted to check out Art stuff because, again, I like that he shows so much behind the scenes, so I figured why not make a video of it and we can all enjoy it together. And you know, people there's people that haven't looked at this stuff before, and that this will be the first time they've seen Arthur's stuff, or they didn't realize that his Instagram was so amazing. So it definitely sends people different places and checking out things, and that's good. You know, that's what we want. So just give this a sec to open. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee while it's doing it. But yeah, I had a really good week. I've been a busy bee. I've been penciling pages and inking pages for the heavy metal job, and I'm gonna be 10 pages into this thing by probably Monday afternoon, which is pretty exciting. I should be done with it. I'm hoping like the first week of January, and then I'm gonna get back on Blaster Kid. I just decided to finish the heavy metal first issue. Like in one chunk, not try to multitask. But the good thing is this heavy metal job that I'm working on is so challenging to draw, and there's so much stuff that I wouldn't normally have had to learn, like more real world stuff. But the thing is it will create a you know, when I go back to things that I like to draw, or that sounds weird when you say it like that, fantasy stuff, you know what I mean? My computer is going to tell me that I've opened too many files. When I go back to the stuff that I'm really excited about drawing, you know, monsters and futuristic dystopian worlds and all that, it's going to be a lot of fun. And all the discipline that it took to work on things that are harder, or, you know, that you wouldn't normally draw, it's going to really make, I think, a very noticeable improvement on what I'm up to, which is exciting for me. Yes, I know. Let's go. There we go. Okay. All right, let's get into this. And again, finished pieces we're not going to look at. We want to see this. So this is an interesting thing that Art does, and you don't see it too much on this particular piece, but there's a little bit of an indication of it. Is he does these grids for the background, and granted, doing a grid is not anything that far-flung or weird, but when you see how many squares and things that Art does, it is absolutely nuts. I don't know how he draws over it. It would drive me crazy having that much extra detail on a piece. It doesn't seem to affect him. Again, this isn't a great example of it. This is more manageable, but we'll see if we see any other ones. But he'll literally just have you know, it'll be like, and then this, and you're just like, how the fuck does he draw with thousands of squares everywhere? It would just be confusing to me. I would rather have just like some guidelines and then eyeball it, you know. I'm pretty good at moving a ruler and knowing how to keep the distance equal, meaning traditionally my hand's pretty steady, so as long as, you know, you don't start having the ruler slowly do that, I can pretty much eyeball, like, you know, 1/4 of an inch or 2/8 of an inch, whatever I need to do. But yeah, you can see this is actually it is actually a little crooked. That's leaning a little bit, but it looks like the background is too. It could also be the photo creating some distortion. I think that's what's going on, because he doesn't really have any trouble with this. It's still a little loosey-goosey back here. He'll nail it. I feel confident. It's a nice, simple Batman. It's good. This is great. I love the crunch he's got going on here. Really, really good. Man, I don't know if you guys follow Mark Brooks, but Mark Brooks posted a new piece with like the Joker and a car. Holy shit. It was nuts. Dude is turning into like the Norman Rockwell of comics, which he's kind of been heading that direction for a long time. This is interesting. I don't know what those are. Maybe he might have snapped a photo and done that in like Procreate or something just to get a flow for something. I don't know what's going on there. It's interesting. We'll see if it pops up in any finished iteration of the piece. Huh. I don't know. I would have to go and look at the Instagram post to figure out what that symbolizes, what he was up to, because I don't know, like, what is that one for? Interesting. What are you up to, Arthur Adams? This is cool, seeing how he suggests that. Yeah, I should keep an eye on that. It's funny because so part of the story that I'm doing for heavy metal, I have to do a series of things that are sort of in the real world, but I generally speaking will always put a little bit of a cast shadow under people's faces just to make it pop a little bit. You see, like this kind of stuff. She's got it, you know what I mean? But it definitely, it seems to separate the head from the chest and the collarbone and stuff like that, and it looks good. But you can see even on the Joker here, he put a little bit of black underneath there, just to make it pop. So this is a nice, really nice effect that he's got there. What do I got? Oh, I've got the eraser tool. Oh, well, that's weird. I wondered. Maybe I did that. What? That's crazy. It's possible that I had done that and didn't even notice. Because it looked the same color as what, I don't know. Man, this is crazy right here. Whoops. What did I do? I got the, like, fancy curve thing. Brush. All right. Brush. There we go. Yeah, this Mr. Freeze is badass. I'm hoping that, I mean, I'm sure he will. Dude, his Clayface, too, is ridiculous. Gosh. What a killer piece, man. He's so freaking good. What's incredible about art, too, and I said this in the last video that I did, because it's like, I will tend to drift back to his stuff maybe like once or twice a year. Or maybe it was him working out himself. It looks like it was. Because this is obviously another iteration of the cape. Like, he's trying different things. Art is in an interesting position in as much as he is not a young man anymore. I'm not saying he's an old man by any stretch of the imagination, but Arthur has been drawing comic books since the 80s. It's 40 years. The fact that he does work of this level of detail and quality 40 years into his career is insane. There's very, very few artists that will ever be able to do what he's done. He really is in a lane all his own. And it's impressive. You know? He's been working right now probably 15 to 18 years longer than I have. So I use things like that as a role model, though. I go, all right, so 20 years from now, I need to be still doing shit at this level. You know, not necessarily like this, but I'm just saying that, like, there's no excuse. If I've seen a human do it, then I know it's possible. God. This has a little bit of a Doug Mahnke vibe to me. Just a tiny bit. Art at one point was working on a Batman like one shot that never got finished. He's shown the pages, or this is actually a pretty nice photo of this. He's shown the pages before online, like what he had done. I honestly think at that point he was working out this. As weird as that sounds, he was still working at a very detailed and high level at that point. I don't know if he had fully perfected the combination of the mental energy and approach that it takes to actually execute this stuff again and again and again. And so I think what was happening is he kept like here's where he is now and here's where he was at, and he was able to do very, very detailed work in this. I do a lot of these for Patreon, this kind of thing, but I think Art kept going to like this point, and he would sometimes get past it, but he wasn't able to consistently do this, what he's doing in these pieces. And so finally, somewhere in the last like 10 or 15 years, he completely broke through the boundaries of very, very detailed pieces, but not where he could do them again and again and again. Because once he figured this out, you see these Star Wars pieces and these X-Men pieces and stuff like that, and they're just more detailed than anything he's ever done. See, this is what I'm talking about. Do you see that there's like a grid through everything? That would drive me crazy because I would have a lot of trouble focusing on my lines. And he's even got ones going this direction too, to divide, to keep things equal. The fact that he can do this much pencils and then have the steam to go back and ink it all as detailed as he does is pretty incredible, because this is a lot of work. This will take you days and days to do. There's our hero Batman. You can really see the underdrawing on this one. It's very, very cool. Okay, so good. It's funny, well, he's got like this little part inked and he's going in and working on it. Yep, really cool. Again, you can always go to Instagram, check all this stuff out. This is a nice photo. Yeah, his clay face is so great. Look at all the teeth he's got. I didn't even notice that before. That's funny. It's like a bulldog's mouth. They got like must have teeth like sort of everywhere. It's cool. Again, just layers of detail. Looks like he may have lightboxed this to the board. The reason that I say that is it's very possible that he actually does draw it this way, but it also looks like it might have been lightbox, meaning that he may go in and do sort of more of a structured sort of underdrawing, and then when he lightboxes it, he can go in and pick his favorite lines, but he may not. I've seen Jim draw stuff like this, where this is like the first pass, but that's someone who's got a lot of experience and doesn't need to do as much construction lines to just have things where he wants them. It's hard to say. It's nice. Poison Ivy. Catwoman. Yeah, it's so funny. It's like he's just got these rows of like lines like here, but when he inks this, it's just gonna be like magic. Like every spot's gonna be beautifully rendered and have some cool pattern on it or whatever it is. Lots of whips. It's very, very cool. And you could really do like a forensic dive on these pieces if you were super, super into art stuff and wanted to really kind of break down the process even more, which is, refer back and forth, look at the Batman drawing at this point and then see just how different it is when it was finished, from these little hints of the blue line that you get. I watch guitar videos where people do stuff like that, where they literally dissect stuff to just minuscule amounts. But you know, you can do the same thing with art, and the fact that he's showing so many iterations of the pieces really gives you an opportunity to have some fun with comparing it. You know, if you're a fan. Again, like big divot in the page. It's so crazy. His Mr. Freeze is great. Boy, I'll tell you what, that is so killer. This is a very thick ink line. He was determined to make Clayface pop, and he inked him quite early in the piece. I guess because he is kind of like, this arm in theory is probably in front of a lot of these characters. And you can always, if you save these files, play with the levels so you could see them a little bit better. He just takes very candid photos and then uploads them, which again is very appreciated, so we can do a little bit of the work ourselves. See, this is what I'm talking about. Look at that. So interesting. It doesn't look like he does. Then he doesn't. Well, I don't know that for a fact, but this is what I was talking about. It's like the more sort of, you know, you're putting in bigger shapes kind of deal. So I'd be curious if we'll see if he shows the other side of the piece. It looks like this is how he lays it out. He doesn't show tons of thumbnails, but I would assume a piece like this, he must do some sort of prelim setup. I mean, I would assume that must doesn't necessarily mean jack shit. It's a poor choice of words. Wow, look at this. This is just crazy. Oh, this would be like the nightmare zone for me with all the lines. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to go back. Okay. Yeah, look at that. Oops, sorry. I'm about to go this way. Okay, here we go. Wow. Oh my goodness gracious. Alright, we'll go for like 5 more minutes and then I gotta get to work. Oh, look, here's another one where he's poked the hole in the board. A dirty dog. Will still be fun, and if you're a patron, you got a real nice long video. Okay, here we go. This is what I wanted to see. Wow, okay, so he does lay it out like on the board like this. That's nuts. He must go in pretty light, and then as he's getting stuff a little bit more refined, he can bring it out a little. Because I didn't see any of this underdrawing in the more sort of when the blue line was getting a little bit darker. There's these Joe Kubert videos that are up, and Joe said something real interesting in his video, and I've never taken art lessons really, so I'm self-taught, but he said something that I found slightly profound, which was never let your pencil sort of rub into the paper, you know, where you're actually like kind of putting the mark into the paper if you can help it. So even at this level, as he goes in and refines it, although you might be working darker, try not to put your lines into the actual paper itself, because it just causes problems down the road. So you can make it a little darker, use a softer lead, etc. But yeah, try not to score the paper with your marks. Wow. But what would happen for me is I would get to this point and I would really want to put down my sort of like the winning lines. And so I would start to push harder and kind of press it into the board. And then it just gets sloppy. It gets harder to function over the art. And it can make it even a little tricky to ink, you know. But man, it's a lot of stuff going on here. Wow. So good. Fuck, man. Dude. See, now you could compare this to those other drawings and see if this is a prelim that's different than the other one, or if this is the art that we were just looking at. Things like where the push pins are, if the lines, you know what I mean? Is this the same underdrawing? It looks like he uses 2 shades of blue. I'm thinking that he uses, you can see like here a little bit, or he goes in with graphite and then blue, and then there's definitely 2 shades of blue. I see like a aqua, like a copy knot, and then almost like a more of a navy blue. Interesting. Sketch cover. Oh, I remember this. God, look at this. Again, we're not focusing on these. As tempting as it is, we can always do another video where we look at finished work, where we just focus on that. Okay, so... And this has a B. So he does do some sort of layout. And this you can see... really like how he sets it up. Okay, that's interesting. God bless you, Art. Man, what a treasure being able to see this whole process. It's so freaking cool. This is cool. Pretty incredible to think that he can start with something as simple as this, but still very, very good. It's very, very cool. It's very dynamic. The figures have got a great bounce to them. There's, you know, even depth and solidity to them. But how the fuck he can figure out how to put that much detail stuff like this is really incredible, because it could go so weird, you know, if you lit something wrong and all of a sudden, you know, you had like dark here and just Batman wasn't looking cool. Somehow he's able to organize all this detail and ultimately end up, whoa, look at this. Interesting. Well, I definitely like the other shot that he chose better. This is cool though. And look at these. This is real funny. Wow. Oh, that's cool. It's wow, really, really neat. Yeah, that's cool. Very interesting to see. God, look at that. I love that you can see his belt buckle right there. Wow. Gosh. He's so good. Interesting. So this is, yeah, C. So we've seen A, B, and C now. This one would not have been as cool, although I'm sure he would have crushed it, but yeah, wow. I just literally can't believe that he can start with something this simple and take it as far as he does. That's just so crazy. I'm just kind of taking in the whole piece. It's funny because Clayface is so much smaller in this one. This one would have been cool. He's done these types of shots so many times. I'm glad that he didn't. So this is A. And what's interesting too is although Batman is fairly big, nothing else really would have been that big. It would have been a lot of stuff kind of the same size overall. So it didn't have the dynamic punch that the other piece ended up having, with making Clayface so big, which I think is kind of more similar to this one. Was a good call. Oh, that's nice. I like too that with Arthur's stuff that there's a real reverence for comic books. He makes it fun. I gotta be honest, and I said this in a recent video, is that I'm kind of burned out on like superheroes that I've seen for years and years and years. I've been into comics long enough where I feel oversaturated with it. But I said that this even happens with music for me. Like I loved Soundgarden more than anything, but I needed to take a little break from listening to Soundgarden for a few years. I'll come back to it and sort of have a a revival on it. But when I see Art draw these characters, I actually still find them actually quite exciting and fun, and I don't always get that same experience when I see other people doing it. So it really does show that he seems to tap into the origin of the characters to me, which always makes it interesting because I think all superheroes inherently are actually very, very cool. Sometimes they've been pushed and pulled through the mud so much that you kind of like you might see them in a different light, but to me this just captures the spirit of what this comic was about. You can remove any, like a shitty movie or whatever, that the book got canceled. Or is this cool? Boy, he spent a lot of time on those buildings. Now I'm getting caught up and I want to look at the art. So, all right, we got to wrap this up though. Oh, this is nice. So wow, he did 5 or 6 layouts for this one. It looks like. That's really cool. Oh, it's funny. I saw the character flying through, and it never really occurred to me that it was the Silver Surfer. I had never really focused on the character because he's upside down. It's actually got like a decent, like Kirby kind of vibe to it, the way that he set it up. It's funny, or Buscema, whatever. But oh, and this pose isn't as good. Actually, I think that the other pose that he chose is better. This looks like reads a little more like a side view. It's not as foreshortened. That's nice. Yeah, I think that's a better pose. Either he's great at self-editing himself, or he's working with real good editors that are giving him good suggestion and choices. Because so far, everything that the changes that I've seen from the prelims to the final pieces, all definitely seem to have improved things. So it's not always the case. Sometimes stuff can start to get diluted. God, this is crazy. Oh, that's cool. Fun to see. Yeah, it's nice. So Patreon, you'll get both of these. I'm gonna upload both of them today, and then I'll just I'll have this unlisted until tomorrow for Super Fun Sunday. So Patreon's gonna get a double dip if they feel up to it. This is cool, but I definitely don't like it as much. Kind of soaking all the figures. This is so classic. Yep, there it is. Whew, it's nice. Yeah, it's crazy. Guys like Art make this stuff really fun to see. They really do. He takes you away into the images. I think it's so cool. That's really cool. I love his Ben Grimm. Oh my gosh. So here's the final on this. This isn't a really great I wonder if Dolmayan bought this, since Torpedo Comics. It's John Dolmayan from System of a Down. If it's an exclusive cover, I'm sure John tried to make a play for this because he does collect art. So wouldn't be cheap, I'll tell you that. There you go. And look, it's funny because this actually does have the pose more similar to the one that he ended up with. It's funny. This would have been kind of interesting, but I still think that he's... That's cool. I haven't seen this piece. Okay. Alright, it's time for me to wrap this up. You all have a great day. I love you all. Thank you for being YouTube subscribers. Please hit the like if you made it to the end of this video. That would actually really be nice. This looks good. The colors are good. I'm assuming it's maybe Alex Sinclair. Let's see if it's signed. I don't really see a signature for our colors. I mean, I guess Art could have colored this himself. I kind of don't think so, but it looks like Sinclair to me. All right, we'll talk to you all later. Okay, bye.